Welcome to the Space Marketing Podcast, where we look at marketing principles, strategies, and tactics through the lens of space. Hi, I am your host, Izzy House, and today we chat with Aphrodite Brinsmead, Director of Product Marketing at Duro, about how she was able to develop strong product marketing on a shoestring budget. So lift off in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Space Marketing Podcast. Information relating to our discussion today and links to the video version can be found in the episode show notes on spacemarketingpodcast.com. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. It will help more people reach beyond the atmosphere. Information in this episode is for entertainment and information only. Please consult a professional for your specific situation. 2 weeks ago, I was at a SmallSat conference in Logan, Utah. Duro was one of the companies that was on exhibit. I met Connor and James at a booth, and they told me that I absolutely had to meet Aphrodite Brinsmead, their marketing guru. She has been with Duro over 2 years and started from the ground floor on the marketing side of things. Duro helps disruptive hardware teams design and build products faster. So it's no wonder that they want to play in the space playground. So welcome to the podcast, Aphrodite, which is a very unique name, by the way.
Thank you. Hi, Izzy.
One of the things I like to do before we get really rolling into the juicy stuff is to learn about who you are and your journey. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and how did you get into marketing?
Sure. So I've been working in the B2B tech space for many, many years. And over the last few years, I've been working more in product marketing. And as I've kind of transitioned my career, I've kind of started to work with smaller companies. And I joined Duro just over 2 years ago, as you mentioned. And one of the things I really wanted to do at Duro was kind of help build the marketing function. As you mentioned, from the ground up. There were some things when I joined, but I've really kind of spearheaded all of our marketing programs. We now have a team. I'm sure now we have a brand new website. So lots of things been happening at Duro.
Well, you got a great brand too, by the way. I was very impressed with the booth, but I was just as equally impressed with the two gentlemen that I met. They were very personable and they knew what they were talking about, which training behind the scenes is part of what you do. But let's first talk about Duro itself. What can you tell us about what Duro does?
So Duro is what's known as a Product Lifecycle Management platform. And it's designed to be really intuitive for the modern generation of hardware engineers to help them, as we mentioned before, get to market faster. And so what it's doing is managing the bill of materials. It's helping manage changes to every revision and providing a kind of centralized place for all of the product information so that it remains accurate for everybody who's involved in hardware development. And one of the huge important things about Duro is that we're flexible to allow companies to build the tech stack that fits with their business. And what that means is we integrate with CAD design tools, we integrate with ERP and MES, and we allow companies to choose which tools fit with their business and kind of evolve and grow over time. And we really believe in data sharing, making it easy to get data in and out of the platform, and with the goal of really accurate product development. So everybody needs the right data, the latest data, and without those kind of connections between the different applications, that's not going to be possible.
Product development seems to be your passion. When I was researching who you were, I saw that you were an engineer first in microelectronics and software engineering from Newcastle University. So how did you go from there into marketing?
Yeah, it was a windy journey, and I've always had an interest in technology, which is why I wanted to go and study it. When you graduate university, nobody really knows what they want to do. You kind of try a few things, and I actually ended up working for an industry analyst firm it was now called Omdia. And I felt like it was a good blend of kind of understanding technologies and how businesses are using them, but it was a little bit more communicative because I like to communicate, chat to people rather than kind of sit behind a a computer all day, like in very focused work. So it was a kind of really great way for me to kind of kickstart my career in tech, learn about lots of different tech companies. I actually got to move from England to the US with that company, really learned a lot about the market in general.
And you worked a lot with the customer side of things, and you learned very on, it looks like in your career, that how important listening to your customer is and how to help them achieve solutions for their problems. And can you go into a little bit about how that segued into marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that that's what marketing is really about. It's about connecting with customers, like coming up with messaging that's like really resonating with them. And, from the time when I was being an industry analyst, I was really focused on customer experience and understanding voice of the customer programs, like how CRM platforms and even like social media and AI were evolving over time to help customers get support, like understand how to interact better with businesses. Yeah, that's kind of evolved into me working in product marketing, like working in B2B startups to help them kind of grow and evolve their marketing messaging and launch products.
And you came in on the ground floor of Duro, so they were a seed company. They were right on when you started working with them. So can you give us a little bit of an idea of what it is that you walked into when you came in?
There were a lot of really great things happening at Duro. We had some experts from the industry who were writing content. We had some very cool customers already, like many in the space industry, like Gilmore Space is a big one that's been a kind of a long-standing customer for us. But we didn't really have any formal marketing programs. So we had a blog, we had a website, but when I joined, it was kind of a little frustrating, kind of trying to make updates to the website and figure out kind of what was really needed in our marketing programs. And I suppose something that I think every marketer is going through today is being a little scrappy, because we didn't have the huge budgets of kind of like massive companies to be able to kind of do big booths at events and, spend a lot of money on advertising. So one of the things I had to figure out was how we can kind of really market in a sustainable way, like kind of build content that's going to be like long lasting and set up things to grow at a good pace.
I'm a staunch believer in Scrappy. I love Scrappy because what it does is it makes you more creative.
Absolutely.
And I have found that a lot of those Scrappy ideas do better as far as getting outreach and getting the word out and marketing than some of the more expensive ones. You do have to pay to play for a lot of things, but that scrappiness on, what is it that makes the impact and how can I do it on this budget, create some amazing solutions to the problems that you encounter, because everybody has tight budgets. I don't care if you're working for GE, there's a tight budget somewhere. When it comes to marketing tactics, what are your favorite tactics that you have used through Duro that may have been the lower cost strategies?
I think one of the big ones is content, and it's not so scrappy because obviously you have to be like an expert in many ways. You have to be putting out content that's very high quality and relevant to the audience for both SEO and also to make sure that our high tech audience of aerospace engineers is actually going to be interested in it. But I think that the benefits of it are that, like, writing a blog. Actually one of our best performing blogs was written by our CEO many, many years ago. And it's like we've, refreshed it and kind of updated the titles and things for the headings and things for search. But investing in that content, it kind of lasts a really long time. It's on the website and it's kind of like reusable. And then when talking about kind of like being creative and being scrappy, like we have so much content on the web that we actually don't have time to kind of like turn it into other assets. I feel like we have so much materials that we can also then use to kind of create little blog posts, social posts, or like kind of quote cards and things like that.
What kind of cards did you say?
Oh, little, I guess, like graphics with like kind of quotes and, kind of
quote cards. Yes, okay.
Pointers or like kind of tips and tricks. I feel like that's something that I'd love to do a bit more of.
And one of the programs, which there's no affiliate marketing in this podcast, I'd like to say that right off the bat. But one of the programs you use is Canva. Canva makes things super easy and quick to generate. I'm also an Adobe creative platform user, but when I just need to do something quick and nice looking, Canva, it fits the bill.
Yeah, I have to say, Canva's really changed the game in terms of being able to make good quality marketing assets at an affordable cost. So we did get designers and kind of agencies to help with our brand and keeping things consistent. I think that's really, really important when you're a smaller company trying to build your brand and like kind of gain presence. But yeah, once we've kind of have those kind of boundaries like established, it's easy for the whole team to make content.
All right, so you started as a startup. So tell us a little bit about how much you've grown.
Yeah, so it's actually been a really exciting journey at Duro. When I joined, we were relatively small. We didn't have much marketing, as I talked about. And today we really have a very cool team. Like we have hired a great group of developers mostly in LA. We have a fully staffed like sales and marketing team, and we're really working. What's most exciting is we're working with kind of some bigger companies and have a really exciting list of customers to talk about. So it's been a huge growth trajectory for Duro, and we're excited about what's coming next too.
And I'd like to stress that when you're a startup and you're looking at marketing and wanting to incorporate that into your company, I am a firm believer that you still need one person on staff. You need somebody that understands marketing and that understands what they're asking for agencies or designers that are freelance and can express the vision of the company. So, how are you still the Lone Ranger when it comes to marketing, or have you built a team?
We actually have a pretty cool team today. We have a content marketer. We have some help from a freelance demand gen person, designer, and we're also, have someone who's kind of working on our customer communications and our support documentation. And then we also do work with agencies still. Like we worked with an agency to redo our website, which was very cool.
Tell us about what you look for when you do work for an agency and how that works. What projects do you give them? How do you work with them? And how do you still keep the budget small?
So when we decided to redo our website, we were actually interviewing several different agencies. And I think we were wanting kind of, it's marketing. So you want like someone who you believe can be creative, but then someone who's also going to be buttoned down when it comes to kind of meeting project deadlines and getting things done and like kind of good communication. So I think it's all about like the creativity with the tactics and the structure and like being able to be a good project manager as well. And it could be hard without actually working with people, but I think we've had some really good luck with the agencies we've worked with.
One of the challenges that I found when I was working as the agency was that, you would have a company come to you and they would say, we want a website or we want this particular piece, go create it. And then they would not follow through on providing information, or they would not provide a vision of what they wanted it to achieve. They just needed that website. Just go do it. And so that's one of the reasons why having somebody on staff that understands your vision is so critical. And because it's not just hiring somebody to go do that. There's still a lot of work that the company side needs to do when creating a website with an agency.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was very lucky that, like Duro has it, our founders have a very strong kind of like brand vision and company vision. And we also have a really great UX designer who's responsible for the product, who's previously like worked on websites. So she was able to really kind of guide the discussions and help make my comments, like turn them into like the design language to really help the web team. So it was a great team effort.
So what is your favorite outreach or marketing strategy and why?
I think there's like really kind of like two things, like, because we can talk about outreach, like, email or social, but without content or without great assets, no outreach strategy is going to be really successful. So I think you have to have the balance of the messaging, the kind of cool content or imagery or blogs or whatever it is to share. And then you have to kind of figure out where your audience is to kind of reach them. So we've been testing a few different things from LinkedIn, email, we're doing some kind of search ads. And we also, as you met us at SmallSat, we're also starting to kind of attend events, which was a really great event for us, actually, that one. That conference, we did actually have a video that we played, and we had some like branding in some of the sessions, and our team was there representing Duro and meeting people.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about the SmallSat is that it has gotten so big that even if you wanted to have a booth, you have to attend a certain amount of times, you have to sponsor a certain amount of times before you're even allowed the option to have a booth, which is an interesting dynamic in itself.
I think it's going to change next year because I think they're moving to a bigger venue. So hopefully there'll be a different, but at the same time, I can kind of see that approach. You know, they want people who are really invested in the event and are going to participate and kind of know how to get the most out of it, I suppose.
Hold on to your boosters. We will be right back with guest Aphrodite Brinsmead, Director of Product Marketing at Duro, after the briefest message from our sponsors. Please like and subscribe to the Space Marketing Podcast so you don't miss a thing. Well, and the benefit is that if you're a company and you wanted to vendor at an event like that and you could not, they told you can't vendor the first year or second year or whatever, and you have to show up in order to be able to even qualify to do it in the future, then your only job is to talk to people. And then that creates another dynamic at the show where people are really anxious and wanting to talk to one another. That was one of the things I noticed about that show, is that there was a lot of communication and it didn't seem forced. It didn't seem where you're walking around going, oh, no, I got to talk to somebody else. You know, that it was very engaging. And I think that was an offshoot of that I was pretty surprised about, because it was my first time being there this year.
Yeah, our team found it really great. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but our team really enjoyed the opportunity to get to meet people. I think they had a lot of really great conversations, met people such as yourself.
And they portrayed themselves well, which is one of the things I wanted to talk about too, is because you work with your team before they go out into the wild, and you prepare them for what the company does and what the message is. And you want to talk a little bit about that, how you prepare your team.
Yeah, well, it's not just me. We have, our co-founders are very involved, and we have, a really strong sales team. But I do think you're right. Like, marketing has a big role in how the company speaks about Duro and how we kind of present ourselves, like from everything like what people are wearing to like the things we're handing out, and what anyone we send to an event is going to say about our company. So a lot of work goes into that in terms of like, we even do like kind of practice calls. We have like kind of guides for what to say about the company, like messaging documents. And yeah, we've also hired some really great talent who are very engaged and willing to learn. So that's been part of it as well.
Do you teach them to talk on stage, or do you just teach them, what the messaging is? How in depth do you go with that education?
I think it depends on the person and the role and how much they'll be interfacing with customers. But most of it is really just about how to talk about Duro, what our differentiators are, like kind of everybody has access to our product so they can get really familiar with it and kind of try it out themselves. So, when you're talking to someone about a product, you actually have experience with it as well, which I think helps. And then the other big kind of education thing that I think, marketing and product marketing particularly is involved in is like trends that are happening in the industry. So kind of sharing like news articles, sharing information on, what's going on outside the space. So people aren't just like familiar with Duro, but they're able to kind of talk the bigger picture as well.
Oh, wonderful. That's a great tip, by the way. So, all right. Besides budget, which is a big one, what are some other outreach or marketing challenges that you experience in what you do?
Yeah, I'm going to say AI because I think it's really cool. I'm starting to use all kinds of tools to help with marketing, and I think it's awesome. But I think it's also a huge challenge because there's so much content being put out there. It's making it really difficult to stand out and like be authentic and like, produce things fast enough while also being of high quality. So I think there's a balance and a lot of like learning lessons to be had there with AI. I would say challenges as always. There's never enough time to do everything you want to do. I think everybody probably struggles with that. And then I think particularly in the space industry, we're marketing to really highly technical personas, people who are building rockets and satellites, and they have this very immense knowledge. So I think marketing to those people comes with its own challenge, because we have to like live up to their standards of, you know, technical expertise in order for them to trust us.
Absolutely. It is a little bit of a different industry in that it's also a kind of a nascent industry. Satellites are a little bit more developed because they've been around a little bit more. But when you think about it, we've only had satellites since the 1960s. So it's still a relatively new industry. Commercial space is very new because up until 2015, it was very difficult to get the grants. It was very difficult to compete. So that whole landscape has changed. So It's interesting the dynamics that have happened in just the last 10 years in that industry. So what other marketing strategies have you really found to be successful that are the go-tos in your toolbox?
So we've talked about content. We talked a little bit about events. I think one of the trends that, you know, we're seeing and you've seen yourself is around kind of more engaging interactive content, like videos, kind of clickable demos, like podcasts. You know, everybody's very busy and no one wants to read really long kind of papers and things these days, but anyone can kind of like listen to a podcast while they're cooking or kind of while they're on the, you know, in their car. So these kind of content or very like kind of quick videos, I think is really the future of marketing. But obviously the production time and the production piece of it is what's most challenging in terms of getting really high quality videos.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about what are the popular videos right now. So when you're flipping through your screen and you're, you know, looking at YouTube Shorts, or you're going through Instagram, or you're going through TikTok, those type of posts that are really grabby and attention grabbing, you know, most companies are not going to sit there and go, I want to dedicate part of our budget to that. You know, they're putting all their marketing eggs into their customer and the customer outreach. So, you know, having a viral video where somebody just doing something silly on it is not on the radar. Though I think some of those are important to really kind of get the message out about space. We're losing a disconnect with space in the public. And so I think just, you know, maybe every once in a while doing something that maybe not your traditional thing may be important to do as a company to make you look more human and to, you know, be a little fun.
I agree. I definitely think we can bring more fun into this industry and like kind of help, you know, educate people that are outside the industry as well to what's going on, because there's a lot of cool developments. But on that note, I think that, you know, in B2B marketing, space marketing, we do tend to be a little too serious. And I love to kind of look at trends in the consumer world and, you know, hopefully bring some of those, more fun and more kind of snappy, like kind of unique things into the B2B.
Yes. So when you're out there, everybody that's listening, and you're thinking about your strategy, just add a few drops of fun along the way and see if you can have that in there and for the public's use and for the public's benefit. All right. So Duro is investing in targeting space companies, which is, like I said, it's kind of a nascent, it's kind of a newer compared to a lot of others. Why and where do you see the space industry going in the next 10 to 20 years that make it something that that you see as worth investing in?
Yeah, there's a few things happening. I think you noted some, you know, it was really hard to get kind of grants and financing, and now we're seeing VCs take an interest in space, like a lot of money's being invested in a lot of these new startups. And I think there's a lot of factors that are making that happen, like our technology advancements for one, like kind of, and one of the things that Duro is really focusing on is making hardware product development more agile and more kind of streamlined to help space companies get things to market faster. I think like historically, when we think about the big space companies like NASA, it took like years and years and years to kind of build rockets and, test them. And now we're seeing these things happen in under a year because of all the technology and also kind of reusable designs and reusable components. So rather than one company building every single piece of a rocket, we're seeing people reusing other technology, people kind of collaborating and working together. And it's really kind of causing this kind of speed to market and kind of more rapid testing and things like that. However, with all of the new kind of like satellites up in the sky, with all of these new technologies and kind of great data sources that we're seeing, there's also like a lot of challenges that come with it. Like there's less regulation, there's all kinds of waste that's being created. So I kind of see like a combination of things happening over the next few years with, faster and faster development, like kind of more advanced technology, a lot more unique solutions happening in space, with kind of actual development in space. Obviously there's the human element of it, but also on the other side, on the flip side, kind of more regulations and a little bit of caution around, trying to kind of protect the space environment as well as on Earth.
Well, let's dig in a little bit of something that you said in Duro, that you help get the products to market. So, and you help iterate that. So can you walk us through an example that's obviously not a non-disclosure type of situation, but walk us through the story of something that somebody would come to you to have developed?
We can talk about one of our customers who actually was in the news this week with a new funding round, which is AstroForge. So they're developing space mining capabilities, and they're working with us. They wanted a product lifecycle management platform that was really kind of like quick and easy to deploy. They didn't have months and months. They've actually been able to kind of develop within a year and get things into space, very, very fast timelines for this industry. And so they would be doing the design and the CAD tools, which could be something like, NX or SolidWorks. Then with that CAD information, they'll then use Duro to create a centralized bill of materials with all the list of all the product details and data. And we do things like kind of provide cost roll-ups, so you can see like how much everything's going to cost, like what the lead times are and what's available. So in an ideal future state, you'll be able to kind of use Duro to optimize that for, a launch on a certain date. And then once everything's kind of like in Duro, like every time the design is iterated on, where kind of we have a change order process where we're documenting every change, making sure that the change is seen by all the relevant stakeholders and approved in a timely fashion. Because without something like Duro, like it's, you're kind of sending emails and documents around and no one knows the status of things. And then the final step is kind of getting all of that information, the design information, to the manufacturing team themselves. So we have integrations where we kind of push that to ERP like NetSuite, or we push it to an MES platform to make sure that the manufacturers have all accurate data as well.
So it's like a really awesome, super smart office assistant that is also a project manager that never forgets anything.
I like that. If Duro was a person.
If Duro was a person, yes. All right. One of the last questions I ask is, as we go through and we unfolded a couple of these concepts, what thoughts do you want to leave our audience with today? What do you want them to mull around as they walk through their day going, I never thought of it that way?
Well, I think if people who are listening and they're in the kind of the space industry, I would love them to go check out Duro, of course, like we're getduro.com. Love to check out our website, even see how we could potentially help. And then if you're anyone in marketing, I think, let's, like we said, let's try and put some more fun into the marketing and figure out ways to kind of collaborate and kind of share ideas a little more. And then for the general public, we'd love to encourage people to track some of the trends and things in space, because I think it's really fascinating, all the solutions that are being built around like kind of climate data, like, mining asteroids for materials. There's some kind of like energy solutions. It's really kind of an innovative field. So lots to learn.
Yeah, and in those, a lot of those technologies that are being developed up there are very green. Because like I tell a lot of the students I work with, there's no dinosaurs on the moon. So we've got to figure out another way to get beyond the moon without using fossil fuels and that sort of thing. And a lot of that green technology, it comes back down to earth, and we're able to get a lot of benefit from it. For example, in the International Space Station, they have learned how to filter the water and filter their pee to where it's actually cleaner water than what we get down here. And they clean the air, and all that technology just trickles down to here. So please do understand that space runs our world, and that the technology that's developed up there is benefiting our world.
Absolutely. Very cool.
A special thanks to Aphrodite Brinsmead, Director of Product Marketing at Duro, for sharing her journey to marketing and to space. Information in today's episode can be found in the show notes at spacemarketingpodcast.com. Please like and subscribe to the Space Marketing Podcast to help us get the word out about this incredible industry of space. I hope that you have found this podcast useful for your journey as you reach for the stars.